Last night, the committee of 4 men and 1 absolutely insufferable dog gathered for what can only be described as a victory summit. Arsenal beat Spurs in the North London derby. And as if that wasn't enough joy for one evening, as they decided to appear once again and casually score another 2 goals just to keep the streets talking. Naturally, professionalism went out the window. I made the entire committee perform the Jokeres mask celebration before we were even allowed to open the spreadsheets. There were complaints, there was resistance. The dog committed fully. Between replaying derby highlights, debating how many statues we're building this week, and sending Spurs memes into every group chat known to man, we eventually remembered we had work to do. And through the chaos, the celebrations, and the very unnecessary mass choreography, we toiled and burned the midnight oil to bring you this week's definitive rankings. It is now time for Anton's Tiers. Hello everybody and welcome back into Fire Them Cannons. Welcome to Anton's Tiers. Before we get into anything, make sure you're hitting the like button. Make sure you are subscribing to Fire Them Cannons. My light seemed to have disappeared from the shot, but we'll have to persevere without it. Anyway, you see that we don't cut things out. We keep recording anyway here, and that is the beauty of this channel. But yeah, good to know that North London is still red. That's very important. And hit the like button if you hate Tottenham. That's for sure. And might as well get into it, everybody, because if you hate Tottenham, strap yourselves in, because you're gonna love this episode of Anton's Tiers. Now, as you see, as always, Burnley and Wolves eliminated from the tiers. Now, I gotta say, after Wolves got an impressive draw against Arsenal in the midweek, Burnley did it away at Stamford Bridge. So, shows you the quality of this league when even the teams eliminated, and we know that these teams are ready for the championship next year, are still pulling off results against Arsenal and Chelsea. Seriously, it's actually the light thing is actually annoying me, but yeah, I have to kind of get over it. All right, let's move on. Bottom row. Oh, you're doing bottom row. Nah, F the numbers. Now, statistically, I was talking about last year, I just don't think that Tottenham is going down, right? Everything. All the metrics tell me that they're probably going to finish somewhere between 10th to 13th. But sorry, after watching them this weekend against us, and having watched us play against eliminated Wolves earlier, the amount of injuries on Tottenham, that how easy it is to just break them down, how they give us everything we want. Tottenham Hotspur has been the easiest team we played all season, both times. I don't know. I think this is a team that looks like they're going down. Now, I know it hasn't happened yet, and I might just be doing it now just because I'm reveling in the North London derby victory glow. But the eye test looks really bad for Spurs. It looks awful for Spurs. Now, they've got the 8th easiest schedule remaining for the rest of the season, so hopefully that's something they can lead on. That's part of the metrics that have them surviving. But right now, like how long has it been since they've actually won a game? I'm actually going to look at that. It has not been one. First of all, 3 defeats in a row. Had 2 draws before that. 2 losses before that. So we're counting 3, 5, 7, 9. They've got 9 games without victory, folks. Do you want to give you an example of the teams around them. Because Wolves... When's the last time Wolves won? I mean, I think they haven't won, or they've won once. Sorry. Wait. Burnley, I know, just beat Palace last week. Leeds, I know for sure, have won games recently. They beat Forest. Forest themselves, when did they last? They beat Wolves, yeah? All these teams around them are winning games. They haven't won for 9 games. 2 to Tottenham have coming up this week. Away at Fulham, a team, by the way, has beaten them at their home ground. They don't win that game. That's 10 games. Double digits without wins for Tottenham Hotspur. Yeah, no. I actually... This is the first time, the entire time, where I have actually gone against... I've gone against my better judgment here, and I've actually put them at the bottom of the tiers. That's kind of what my decision here. Next up, Saved by Spurs. Look, by all these metrics, these 2 teams should be going down as well. But they might just be lucky this season. I mean, look, Forest, incredibly unlucky. Very unlucky not to get a point against Liverpool, you know. Very, very late goal from McAllister in injury time. Actually did it twice. First was a race, second one scored. Unfortunate for Forest, but you know what? Them's the breaks. And yeah, look, I think that was actually a pretty good result for Tottenham. But what's a really good result for is West Ham, because West Ham got a very valuable point against Bournemouth. They actually moved closer in. Tottenham losing means Tottenham closer to that relegation zone. Yeah, but these 2 teams might just survive. Now, West Ham are in that spot right now. Forest are right between them. But I do feel in the coming weeks, there a better chance for those teams to be picking up points than Spurs. Just based off the vibes. Now, Spurs can totally turn it around, smash Fulham away or something like that next week, and get back on track. But the thing is, the amount of injuries, the way they defend, the formation, the lack of cohesion, everything, the lack of fight, energy, how easy it is to play against them. They give you everything you want. Man, it could be in a weird season. And teams like West Ham and Forest, who traditionally are in relegation form, might actually make it out alive. Next up, the drop-off. And yeah, Sunderland, look, I do kind of feel like they are finally starting to look like a promotion team. It took them a very, very long time. And by the way, their place in the Premier League table is still pretty secure. Like, I don't think that they're at risk of going down. They are 11 points clear in 12th. But, you know, from what I remember a few weeks ago, they were 8th or something like that. From a team that was consistent in the top half most of the time of the year, I think getting this deep into the season, the games have caught up to them. Again, Xhaka, I believe, came off the bench. Thought he would start, thought he'd play a bigger part, but he couldn't. And Fulham, speaking of Fulham, you know, we just spoke about them with Tottenham coming up. The second team in a row, back-to-back games, that have come to the Stadium of Light and secured wins. That was their thing that they held on to all the time, and they don't have it anymore. So, look, we'll see. I think it's a juncture in the season where I feel like they're starting to kind of slip a little bit down the table. Next up, difficult fixtures. Now I'm not saying that these teams have difficult fixtures. I'm saying that they are. These are hard teams to play against, especially when you're going away from home. The Amex, Selhurst Park, Leeds. These are all teams that are spirited. They're hard to play against. You know, that when some of my rivals, for instance, City go to Ellen Road this week, I'm seeing it as a potential banana skin. You know, Brighton have already, taken points off City this year. No, Palace couldn't, but they've done it before to many teams across the league. So again, these are just teams that are tough to play against. Next up, slightly more difficult fixtures. So like the little bit harder than Brighton, Palace, and Leeds is Everton and Fulham. Now, Man United had a really tough time of it. They ended up coming at the 3 points, but they just got it right at the end from Benjamin Sesko. But, Everton are rugged. They play the dark arts very, very well. And they're just a team you just don't want to play against because they're such a pain in the ass to play against. Fulham, on the other hand, could turn you over on any given week. Now, they could also fold like a lawn chair against City, last week. But then they can go to the Stadium Light and turn over a team like Sunderland. They could turn over a Tottenham. They could turn over many of these teams below, and they could cause trouble for many of the teams above them. These are, again, teams in the middle of the table who still are just very, very well coached and can make a fixture just really tough. You have to really sweat it out against these teams. Next up, A for effort. Thanks for trying, Newcastle, but it wasn't good enough. Look, I gotta say, Newcastle showed me a little bit of a blueprint about maybe what it could take to take points off of City. Not maybe what we've seen, and plenty of it this year. But I felt like City in the second half were the team that on the back foot, the team that was defending. Now, Newcastle did get themselves an equalizer early on in the game, but they couldn't hold on to that. But I thought overall for a losing effort, I actually thought that Newcastle could argue really deserved something out of that game. But it doesn't help me in the title race because at the end of the day, they got 0 points from it and City got 3. But yeah, big ups to Newcastle though for the effort. At least you tried. Next up, Cinderella seasons. Now, Villa, Brentford, and Bournemouth, all at different times of this year, have pushed the top pack. I think they've all well gone above expectations this season. Villa, we thought were in a title race. Now you see how, now they're kind of more back to where Villa belong in this group. Bournemouth at one point were Villa, like before there was Villa this year, in terms of being in and around those places close to the top of the table. They had a big drop off part prior to Semenyo leaving, and they've gone right up. But again, Brentford as well, very, very tough. They've had a couple of periods, and they've got a couple of good periods this season. And they've also had some tremendous results against some of the biggest teams in this country. Now, all three of these teams have had bad results this last weekend. Villa drew against Leeds. This time around, Morgan Rogers couldn't bail them out. Bournemouth, went to West Ham, got a draw. So their winning streak kind of comes to an end. And Brentford lost. Who did they lose to again? Come on. They lost to Brighton. Right. So, Cinderella seasons, but again, they're just not quite the best teams in the country. And as my tiers have kind of indicated to you guys all year, their drop-off was going to happen eventually. Not Sunderland levels, but I think, to a modest enough level where you let these two categories take control. The first category, the Premier League. Now, I'll explain to you, this name will make a lot more sense once I move up the tiers, because the other name will make this name make more sense. I want to make the tiers, actually make them in reverse. I start from the top, do them from the bottom, but unveil them from the bottom to the top. Look, Chelsea, Liverpool, Man United. 3 different examples of the Premier League's tough teams, big teams, struggling against the teams down the bottom or towards the middle. Chelsea, yet another red card on their season. Cough up a 1-0 lead and draw to Burnley, who have been eliminated. Liverpool, on the other hand, a game that they didn't deserve to win, somehow got it over the line. Finally, they got some luck at the end of the season. I feel like they haven't had that type of luck since way in the first 5 games of the year. But, you know, they squeaked out a game against a really, really dogged Nottingham Forest team. Got it. Man United, though, was a team where I felt like it was a tough slog, but they fully merited and deserved the 3 points. Now, none of them lost, but it goes to show you how tough this league is. It's just the Premier League. But outside of the best teams in the country, these are sort of the standard for everybody else. The next tier is... Oh, wait. There is no... Wait. Sorry. We're skipping a tier. The Super League. That's right. There's a gap. Didn't do that as well as I wish I could have done to the effect. But look, there's a gap for me between the 2 teams at the top going for the title and everybody else. Nobody has been able to, I'm talking about for the first 27/28 games of this season, show the same kind of consistency of these 2 football clubs. They're more talented than everybody else, and they're more consistent than everybody else. The Super League. Remember back when we almost did this thing called the UEFA Super League, where we felt like we were just going to take the big clubs out of England, put them in a Super League with like Barcelona, Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, PSG, the lot. That's kind of what this feels like to me. Like Arsenal and City. This is going to be interesting now. We're heading to the run-in now. But I feel like they're in a league all to their own. They've separated themselves. I can't put Chelsea, Liverpool, and Man United a tier just below them or even touching their tier. Because their seasons are so much different than Arsenal and Manchester City's. City have definitely improved in recent weeks. They've upped their levels where they can meet Arsenal in the face. And Arsenal's performances have dropped a little bit to human levels from their superhuman levels. But here they are. Arsenal 5 clear with a game in hand, with City having a game in hand. Arsenal's got 10 games to go. City've got 11 games to go. Both of them went to teams that I had ranked, forget about at the start of the year in terms of squad ranking, number 5 and number 6 in the Premier League. So 2 similar strength of squads, and both won. Took care of business. And I just feel like we're just going to be getting that from here the rest of the year. Because I think both of these teams know that they cannot afford to slip up, especially City. Because, you know, the closer and closer we get to the end of the season, the less games there are, the less points there are on the table. We will have to see. But yeah, that has been my tiers. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. And yeah, look, I finally did it. Tottenham at the bottom of the tiers, Arsenal at the top. Finally did it. I didn't think I was going to do it a week ago. Maybe it was, I just didn't want to tempt fate prior to the NLD, but I did it. Anyway, guys, drop a like on the video if you have really enjoyed this, and of course for supporting the channel. Obviously, comment. That is what this Forgan video is about. Engagement. So yeah, I would love to see your comments in this. Until next time, guys. Anton out.